From the get-go, The Sixth Sense sets itself up as a ghost story. We follow child psychologist Malcolm Crowe, who is trying to help a young boy, Cole, who claims to see dead people. The movie builds suspense as Cole's creepy encounters with the supernatural escalate, and you, as the viewer, are just waiting for the inevitable showdown between Cole and these ghosts. Meanwhile, Malcolm is struggling in his marriage, his wife has grown distant, and their relationship seems to be falling apart. You're thinking, poor Bruce Willis, can't catch a break between troubled kids and an uncommunicative spouse. Then comes the twist, a sucker punch to the gut. Turns out, Malcolm is one of the dead people that Cole has been seeing all along. He died in the opening scene, but you didn't realize it because the film cleverly keeps his interactions limited to Cole. As soon as this is revealed, you suddenly understand why no one else in the film ever acknowledged Malcolm's presence. You replay the entire movie in your head, thinking, how did I miss that? The moment when Malcolm finally realizes he's dead is one of the most heartbreaking and mind-bending scenes in cinematic history. And just like that, Shyamalan cemented himself as the twist master. The movie that spawned countless man versus the system conversations and a renewed interest in homemade soap. Edward Norton plays the unnamed narrator, a regular guy stuck in a soul-sucking corporate job, who finds release in the form of underground fight clubs started by his new best friend, Tyler Durden. Tyler is everything the narrator wishes he could be: bold, reckless, oozing charisma, and determined to destroy societal norms. The two bond over fistfights and create an anarchist cult-like group that seems unstoppable. But just as you're getting comfortable with the idea of these two rebels leading the anti-capitalist revolution, the twist smacks you in the face. Tyler isn't real. He's a figment of the narrator's imagination. The entire time, the narrator has been Tyler. Yes, he was just beating himself up in a parking lot and coming up with elaborate plans. It's one of those twists that not only shocks you but also makes you question everything you've just watched. You suddenly realize that Fight Club isn't just about rebellion, it's a psychological spiral into one man's complete mental breakdown. This twist didn't just shake up the Star Wars universe, it redefined it. Picture it, Luke Skywalker, fresh off his training with Yoda, faces down the villainous Darth Vader in a lightsaber duel that feels like the ultimate showdown between good and evil. Luke has been on this hero's journey for 2 movies now, and we're all waiting for him to strike down the embodiment of the dark side. But Vader's not going down without a final word. In a moment of pure cinematic shock, Vader delivers the iconic line, "No, I am your father." Turns out, Luke's nemesis isn't just the faceless villain we all thought he was, he's Luke's own flesh and blood. The twist sends Luke into a spiral, as he grapples with the knowledge that the most evil man in the galaxy is his dad. Not only does it change Luke's path, but it forces the audience to rethink the entire saga. Suddenly, it's not just about Luke versus Vader, it's about a father and son, torn apart by the forces of good and evil. And let's be real, the scream is forever etched in our minds as one of the most dramatic reactions in cinematic history. Martin Scorsese's Shutter Island is a psychological thriller that leaves you questioning what's real and what's not until the very last frame. The film follows U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels as he investigates the disappearance of a patient from a creepy, isolated psychiatric hospital. As Teddy delves deeper into the investigation, he uncovers strange clues and becomes suspicious that something more sinister is happening on the island. Teddy's paranoia grows, and you're right there with him, questioning everything. But just when you think you've got a handle on what's happening, bam, the rug gets pulled out from under you. Turns out, Teddy isn't a detective at all. He's actually a patient at the hospital, and the whole investigation has been an elaborate role-play designed to help him come to terms with his own delusions. The patient he's been searching for, it's him. The twist is so devastating because it doesn't just flip the story, it completely breaks down the character you've been rooting for. You start retracing every moment in the film, realizing all the little clues that were pointing to this all along, and you're left feeling just as disoriented as Teddy. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is the original slasher film that redefined horror with its shocking plot twist. The movie starts by following Marion Crane, a secretary who steals a large sum of money and goes on the run. She ends up at the Erie Bates Motel, run by the shy and awkward Norman Bates, who seems a bit too attached to his domineering mother. The movie builds tension as Marion meets an untimely demise in the now iconic shower scene, and the story shifts focus to the mystery of who killed her. All signs point to Norman's mother, who Norman describes as being mentally unstable. But in a twist that still sends chills down spines, we learn that Norman's mother has been dead for years, and Norman himself has been dressing up as her, committing murders in her persona. That final reveal, with Norman sitting in a cell, fully transformed into mother, is one of the most unsettling moments in cinema history. You suddenly realize that Norman's mommy issues run much deeper than you thought, and the whole movie becomes infinitely creepier with this new knowledge. This South Korean thriller from Park Chan-wook is a dark, twisted revenge story that leaves you gasping for air by the end. Oh Dae-soo, an ordinary man, is mysteriously imprisoned in a cell for 15 years without any explanation. When he's finally released, his only goal is to find out who did this to him and why. Along the way, he meets and falls in love with a young woman, Mi-do, who helps him in his quest for revenge. But the twist, oh boy the twist, is that this was all part of his captor's meticulously orchestrated revenge plan. The worst part, Mi-do, the woman he's fallen in love with, is actually his daughter, who he was separated from years ago. The villain set everything up to exact the ultimate revenge, making Dae-soo unknowingly commit the ultimate taboo. The reveal is so gut-wrenching and shocking that it leaves you feeling as trapped and manipulated as the main character. You don't just watch the twist, you feel it, deeply. The Others plays with classic ghost story tropes and then completely turns them on their head. The movie stars Nicole Kidman as Grace, a deeply religious mother living in a gloomy mansion with her two light-sensitive children. Strange things begin happening in the house. Doors open on their own, mysterious voices echo through the halls, and Grace becomes convinced that her home is haunted by malevolent spirits. But the real twist is that Grace and her children are the ghosts. They died in the house years ago, and the hauntings they've been experiencing are actually the living people who now occupy the home. The revelation is both heartbreaking and terrifying. Suddenly, all the creepy occurrences make sense, and you realize that Grace's paranoia was not about protecting her children from the supernatural, but about protecting herself from the truth of her own death. The final moments, when Grace realizes what has happened, are hauntingly beautiful and tragic, making this one of the most memorable ghost stories ever told. The entire premise of The Usual Suspects revolves around the mystery of the elusive criminal mastermind, Kaiser Soze. Told through flashbacks, the movie follows Verbal Kint, a small-time con artist who seems to be the only survivor of a deadly heist. As Verbal recounts the events leading up to the heist, the detective interrogating him becomes obsessed with the identity of Kaiser Soze, the shadowy figure pulling the strings behind the scenes. Verbal spins a tale of betrayal, violence, and intrigue, leading the detective and the audience on a wild goose chase. But just as Verbal is released from custody, the pieces begin to fall into place. In a brilliant final reveal, we learn that Verbal is Kaiser Soze. As he walks out of the police station, his limp disappears, and his entire demeanor shifts, revealing the criminal mastermind underneath. The detective, like the audience, is left utterly shocked as Verbal fades into the crowd, leaving no trace of his true identity. The twist is a masterclass in misdirection, and it's so satisfying that it practically demands a rewatch just to catch all the clues you missed the first time. In Primal Fear, Edward Norton delivers a star-making performance as Aaron, a shy, stuttering altar boy accused of brutally murdering a priest. Richard Gere plays his defense attorney, Martin Vale, who is convinced of Aaron's innocence and sets out to prove that his client has a dissociative identity disorder. Aaron's alter ego, Roy, is violent and dangerous, and Vale builds his defense around this split personality, arguing that Aaron wasn't in control when Roy committed the murder. The courtroom drama plays out in riveting fashion, and just when it seems like Vale has successfully exonerated Aaron, the real twist hits. After being found not guilty by reason of insanity, Aaron drops the act and reveals that the stuttering, innocent altar boy persona was fake all along. Roy didn't exist, Aaron was in control the entire time. He manipulated everyone, including Vale, and walks away scot-free, leaving the audience reeling from the revelation. It's one of those twists that makes you feel as duped as the characters in the film, and Norton's chilling transformation from victim to villain is unforgettable. Gone Girl is a psychological thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat, with a twist that will have you questioning everything you think you know about relationships. The film follows Nick Dunn, a man who becomes the prime suspect when his wife, Amy, goes missing. The first half of the movie plays out like a classic murder mystery. Did Nick kill his wife? But then comes the twist. Amy isn't dead. Not even close. In fact, she's orchestrated her own disappearance as part of an elaborate revenge plot against Nick after discovering his infidelity. Amy fakes her own death, frames Nick for the murder, and meticulously plans every detail to ensure that he goes down for it. The twist is revealed through Amy's chillingly manipulative diary entries and flashbacks, and you realize just how terrifyingly brilliant she is. By the end, she even manages to worm her way back into Nick's life, and he's powerless to stop her. The twist redefines the entire story, making Amy one of the most unforgettable and terrifying characters in modern cinema. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.